Life is old there, older than the trees, younger than the mountain, blowing in the breeze. Country roads take me home to the place where I belong, West Virginia. Mountain mama, take me home, country road. All my memories gather round her, mine is a lady, stranger to the water, and dusty paint on the sky, misty taste of moonshine, teardrop in my eye. Country road, take me home to the place I belong, West Virginia. Mountain mama, take me home, country road. I hear a voice in the morning, Donna, she calls me. Radio remind me of my home far away, and driving down the road I get a feeling that I should be. And yesterday, country road, take me home to the place I belong, West Virginia. Mountain mama, take me home, country road, take me home, country road. Get it.
She'll be coming round the mountain, she'll be coming round the mountain, she'll be coming round the mountain when she comes. She'll be driving 6 white horses when she comes. She'll be driving 6 white horses when she comes. She'll be driving 6 white horses. Driving 6 white horses. She'll be driving 6 white horses when she comes.
Tickets, right?
Oh, we'll all go out when she comes. Oh, we'll all go out to meet her when she comes.
Right there, that lady. That lady. No, that
We
lady.
have to chase her.
Yeah, long skirt. Just step on her skirt. It's swinging behind her. You'll catch her really easy.
Oh, we'll kill the old red rooster when she comes. Oh, we'll kill the old red rooster when she comes. Oh, we'll kill the old red rooster. Kill the old red rooster. Kill the old red rooster when she comes. Oh, we'll all have chicken and dumplings when she comes. Oh, we'll all have chicken and dumplings when she comes. Oh, we'll all have chicken and dumplings. We'll all have chicken and dumplings. We'll all have chicken and dumplings when she comes.
Yes, I am.
Did you see how good that was?
Short hair.
what? Oh, different place. So, Joan, what did you do? Cut too high on one side?
Some of them got away from me.
Well, you know, I wasn't in the
Well, that's okay. I have, well, one got away from me too. I turned around.
I went to the hairdresser. One hamburger and a hamburger and a hot dog. Two separate things. You know?
Picking berries, it's the only thing I like to do. Picking berries, all the summer season through. Walking through the berry fields, down the green and rocky trail, here and there a rocky ledge, coaches music from my ponytail. Picking berries, it's the only thing I like to do. Picking berries, all the summer season through. Up ahead, a berry bush filled with berries bright and blue. So I set to work to pick berries fresh with morning dew. Picking berries, it's the only thing I like to do. Picking berries, all the summer season through. Working steady, I can pick 20 quarts or more a day. Often thinking to myself, lots of work for little pay. Picking berries, it's the only thing I like to do. Picking berries, all the summer season through. Now it's nice to work outdoors, arms and faces getting brown. When the berry season ends, we'll be heading back to town. Picking berries, it's the only thing I like to do. Picking berries, all the summer season through. When the winter snow comes down, we'll be thinking once again of that summer months spent upon Altona's plains. Picking berries, it's the only thing I like to do. Picking berries, all the summer season through.
One more verse, Kelly. Let's do it one more time.
Picking berries, it's the only thing I like to do. Picking berries, all the summer season through. Picking berries, it's the only thing I like to do. Picking berries, all the summer season through.
I'm right now, too. Thank you.
It's gonna be a long time between now and 3 o'clock.
Is my car
Sally, you want to take the stuff off the stage?
right here?
Did you have any of the flowers? Do you mind?
Whoops, went on the
if you should need to use the facilities. The water doesn't look too great in there, but it's okay. Secondly, Tammy's going to be coming around. If you see her, in her hand, she's going to have a pin, and that is for our honorees of today, or those that were here in the years of the renovation, the 1980s and up to. We'd love you to be able to help Tammy out and kind of raise your hand and let her know you're here. So anyone, you were involved in that era that we're celebrating today, please let Tammy know and let her give you a pin. So everybody seems to be like they're nice and comfortable, had something to eat. We're good to go. First came here, I'd like to first thank our first musicians, the Hartland Mountain Singers. And they were Ed Baldwin, Sally Dewey, Grace Jones, Doug Carrier, Nicole Smith. So how about a nice round of applause to say thank you, and Ed Downs. Now they're going to come back, because I know the program, for everybody to sit nice and quiet. They will come back up for you to have your desserts and coffee, and to go in and see the house. Our second performers, some of you may not have recognized, was Dan Spagnese and Julie Spagnese. Dan is the music teacher at Hartland Elementary, Hartland School. Awesome job. And his wife Julie, I believe, is a music teacher in East Hartford. So we thank him so much for coming here at the last hour. So today we celebrate with what a townspeople and community can accomplish. For without their vision, without their interests, their determination, their skills, their talents, their volunteering and support, this museum would not be here today. Hartland Historical Society thanks you, all of you, who gave large or small years ago and to date. It may have taken just a few people with a vision to make this Gaylord House renovation project a reality, but it took many to make it to fruition and to continue the Society's mission today. I want to name a few dedicated volunteers who have been part of this house and the Historical Society in all of these 25 years. Year in, year out, every day they're thinking about it. Paula Seppi, who has been taking care of this house even before it became a museum, takes care of maintenance, alarm alerts, Civil War exhibits, and more. That's right. Yay, Paul! Joan Stoltz, who started as a director in the 1970s, became president in the 80s, and continued her presidency up to just a few years ago. And Joan, we know you do much, much, much. Yay, Joan. Other ongoing support over the years came from many of you or a family member. Who here helped 25 years ago? Not me, I'm too young. Who's here? Give me a show of hands. Who was here 25 years ago and on? That's right, Sally Dewey. She was one of the first ones to get blueberry desserts here at the picnic. Joan Winnegar's here. Marcia Ransom's here. There's a good handful. Joe Alicata, of course. The house would be crooked if he wasn't here. But anyways, who here today wears the button of honor? That was what we were talking about. Hopefully Tammy will give you a nice button that Ada Mae made by hand. We celebrate you today. Who here has lent a hand or has donated or time or anything? I know there's many of you. Who helps? Who makes it happen? Yeah, well, Al, yes. But many. There's Al. Joe Kane. There's many names. I would be here all day if I went through the list of those that have helped. Since the inception of the Hartland Historical Society and then its museum, we now house 1,758 known documented items, 700 plus to the start, with 136 being given between 1954 and 1982, 230 given during the years of the renovation, 1983 to 1989, and 685 items since October 1989. It's been busy over the last 25 years. Hartland Historical Society looks forward to the continued support from its community, which shows here today by your attendance, our volunteers' talents and time, musicians and speakers. This is what makes our society and museum such a treasure along with the irreplaceable Hartland artifacts it displays. There are many Hartland Historical Society supporters no longer with us. Let us take a moment of silence in memory of that spirit of giving. Thank you to all. We celebrate today with food, music, our traditional blueberry stories, and dance, memories from 25 years ago, and the dedication of our newly published book, Hartland Remembers, to honor the years of service given, which will be available for sale after the dedication. And last but not least, you will be able to taste those blueberry desserts staring at you. And we will open the museum for you to go through. So let's begin. First, I'd like Roxanne Kane will come up to read our traditional story by Agnes Gorse. She will be followed by Sally Jones, who will read the blueberry story from Will Hayes, her grandfather. Roxanne.
Good afternoon, everyone. Agnes Gorse was my great aunt. She spent most of her life in Hartland. She lived from 1903 to 1991, and she lived in the old green farmhouse that's on the corner of Route 20 and Balance Rock Road. In 1989, the Historical Society published this booklet, Blueberry Memories, which basically consists of people's favorite recipes. But my great aunt Agnes wrote the introduction, which has become a tradition to read it at the blueberry picnic. And it's written as this: Blueberry Memories. Hartland was famous for its blueberries in the early 1900s. Every farm had blueberry fields, and blueberries were a source of income. I remember July and August mornings long ago, when right after breakfast, I tied a pail around my waist, donned a big straw hat, and started out with all the family except Mother. We picked all morning, came in for lunch, measured the morning's pick, and then went back to more picking. At night, all the berries were taken to Hayes' store. Will Hayes, better known as Huckleberry Hayes, would pile his horse-drawn wagon with blueberry crates and start off soon after midnight in order to reach Hartford in the early morning hours. He paid us whatever he got. 30 cents a quart was high, and 5 cents was low. But we were happy with whatever we received. He always told us he had no trouble selling his load. Everyone thought Hartland had the best blueberries. Now the fields are gone, grown up to woods. The cows are gone that roamed the pastures and kept the bushes down and the pathways open. It was a happy time, and we who lived through it remember it with pleasure. Thank you.
Okay.
The article that I'm going to read to you comes from the Hartford Courant of July 28, 1906. My great-grandfather, William Lorenzo Hayes II, started Hayes's General Store, was a representative to the Connecticut State Legislature, and a blueberry runner. The article is entitled, "The Land Where Blueberries Grow." Everybody there picks, and all Hartford eats them. William L. Hayes brought in 175 bushels this week. He supplies all the grocers in town, over 1,000 bushels to be marketed. If any resident of Hartford has a craving for blueberries, which cannot be satisfied by the contents of his purse, he should remove to Hartland, where he can satiate himself and spare his pocketbook. The blueberry usually grows in swampy ground, but in that land of rare delight, so prodigal is nature that the luscious berry grows wherever a bush can take root, along the roads, in the fields, on rocky ledges, and in many a garden can be seen bushes blue with their burdens. Also, the size of the plant there is larger than elsewhere. Many of them grow to 5 feet in height. The chief articles of diet of the mountaineers in this region throughout the summer are blueberries and cream, blueberry pie, and just blueberries. The thrifty natives not only supply their own appetites, but the desires of many a town less fortunately situated. Practically the whole supply of Hartford comes from East Hartland. This week, William L. Hayes, a veteran dealer in the produce of the place, brought in 175 bushels. This enormous amount supplies every grocer in town and the various restaurants which sell blueberry pies. Last night, Mr. Hayes brought in 68 bushels, and before today, noon, he expects to get rid of his entire load. The season for blueberries lasts from the end of June to the middle of September. When the season is backward, the blueberries, which have grown in shady places, are marketable until October 1st. Mr. Hayes stated last night that he would sell over 1,000 bushels in Hartford this summer. This year, the conditions for a large crop have been ideal. There has been plenty of rain, and the berries are flourishing. The whole population of East Hartland and the surrounding country is busy picking them. The manner in which they have spread is unaccountable to the fruit dealer who has been on the road from Hartland to Hartford for 32 years. When he began, there were no blueberries there. The place was as destitute of them as is this city, grocers and ice boxes excluded. Several years ago, the berry began to be heard of there, and now is spreading rapidly, still in the same unaccountable manner. 2 years ago, Mr. Hayes brought to Hartford nearly 1,000 bushels. Last year was a poor one for the fruit, but this season he expects to break all records. 3 times each week, he makes the trip with a wagon, going 22 miles. His arrival in East Hartland is the signal for a stampede in his direction of all the families, from grandfathers with a 2-gallon pail to the baby who has eaten enough of the fruit to affect its gait, who brings a couple of quarts. At the end of the season, there is a grand settling of accounts. Mr. Hayes has a grocery store in East Hartland, where he keeps the record of all berries brought in. If this record were lost, the whole town would go into bankruptcy. The price of blueberries in East Hartland is 8 cents a quart. Here it is 10 cents a quart. And I need to end with an anecdote about my mother, Esther Hayes, who had to pick blueberries for her grandfather, William Lorenzo Hayes. She did not like picking blueberries, so would volunteer to take care of her little brother, Russell Hayes, while their mother did the harvesting. The only blueberries Esther ever ate were in yogurt, and then she only ate off the top creamy part. Thanks.
Craft, and it's accompanied by the original blueberry song written by Cindy Rhines. Cindy Rhines was inspired to write this song because of our town and this blueberry picnic. We had a lot of fun with this last year, so go ahead, Mary.
Okay. Well, thank you everybody for coming. Emily and I will demonstrate the dance first. You might remember her from last year. She was this tall. So this is Emily. So we'll demonstrate it, and then we would love to have you come and join us. How's that? Okay? Okay, here we go.
and there'll be pictures of what we're doing. So here we go. Thank you, Pat.
You're welcome. And I'm going to try one of your beautiful hats.
Oh, it matches you perfectly. If you buy a lovely straw hat, they're $5, and the proceeds will go to the Historical Society.
Now, what Lily might want to do is, there are numbers, this one, and this one. These are four. So they come again and again. 3 and 4. Okay? This is number 1, and then they're all this is number 1. We're ready.
We are ready. Here we go.
Memories so sweet of my family and me when we would get together when I was just a child, and we'd wander and roam on a Sunday afternoon in search of those beautiful blueberries wild. My mom would sing a song, even Grandma came along. Me and my brothers and my sis would follow Daddy close behind, and we'd all give a shout when we heard him holler out that he'd found another patch of those blueberries wild. And we'd sing, "Pick-a-berry, put it in a bucket. Pick-a-berry, put it in a bucket. Pick-a-berry, put it in a bucket, and we'll make some pie. Pick-a-berry, put it in a bucket. Pick-a-berry, put it in a bucket. Pick-a-berry, put it in a bucket, and we'll make some pie." Oh, we'd run over quick, and we'd all start a-picking. I would pick the low ones, and my sis would pick the high. And we'd race with my brothers to see who could beat each other, filling up our little buckets with blueberries wild. And we'd sing, "Pick-a-berry, put it in a bucket. Pick-a-berry, put it in a bucket. Pick-a-berry, put it in a bucket, and we'll make some pie. Pick-a-berry, put it in a bucket. Pick-a-berry, put it in a bucket. Pick-a-berry, put it in a bucket, and we'll make some pie.
We have some people who just couldn't wait.
She's going to stop for you.
Here's your bucket.
Anyone from the, wait a minute, the mountain over here has something. This mountain's coming.
What's your name? You get a free bucket.
I'll get Marcia up. I'll go see get Paula. I'll get him.
Paula.
Start up, I'll get Marcia. Come on, Paula.
Marsha.
So do you want to give them their buckets? Yeah. Here's extra buckets in case you have.
Come on, Ma. Come on.
Come on, Dad. Who's going to pick the blueberries?
Hey.
So this is going to be much easier. This one we go around. Okay, are you ready?
I think you should ask for some more men. We need some
More men.
more men. Come on.
You can dance with me, Trevor. He come dance with me.
Tom, somebody's looking for you.
Trevor.
I'm a Hartland fan.
I have memories so sweet of my family and me when we would get together. And we wander on a Sunday afternoon in search of those beautiful blueberries wild. My mom would
box and bag there. So if you do have empty water bottles, try to put it over there for recycling. Thanks. Okay, I got to catch my breath. Okay, that was very fun. Thank you, Mary, very much. And just to note, too, Mary and her grandchildren made hats. She's actually selling for $5 for being festive today, so if you have an interest, go see her. Yeah. All right, Mary. It's fun seeing those hats out there. All right, and now I would like to introduce our guest speakers in celebration of our 25th anniversary. I'm first going to have Karen McNulty come up. Georgianne Filer, the curator of the Gaylord House in the 80s, recruited neighbor Karen McNulty in early 1987 to assist with the Prepare and Preserve the Contents team as the house was being renovated. Karen had been working at the Wadsworth Athenaeum in several archival departments, so it was a good fit. The team also included Sally Dewey, Gert Lillendahl, Eva Hoffer, and many others. Weekly sessions were held for 5 years, mainly on the three-dimensional objects, cleaning, cataloging, and labeling them. In 1989, a wild year, Karen went full-time at the Avon Library. Her son turned 5 the day before the Gaylord House went live, and so now we'll hear her account of opening day here and the exciting things that followed. Karen? Oh, and she's wearing a hat. All right.
I put a deposit on a hat. I'm good for the rest. Okay, I'll try to speak up. I do have notes, but because I was a children's librarian for 24 years, I will dramatize them so I'm not boring. First of all, I want to say what a pleasure it is to return to the Gaylord House today, to see all my best friends, my old friends, well, you know, not the old friends, but the great friends, my neighbors, the Alicatas, who I haven't even seen all summer, and everyone else that's been a part of my life since I first came to work here many years ago. I've been a Hartland resident for 28 years, and I still feel like the new guy. Okay, so I'm going to read you things so that I don't forget. It's been 26 years since Georgine twisted my arm and brought me in to the team cleaning, cataloging, and labeling of the dimensional objects. This team, which included, as Joanne said, Georgine Feeler, an awesome, inspiring woman, Eva Hoffer, Gert Lillendahl, Sally Dewey, myself, and many others, worked tirelessly for 3 to 5 years preparing the objects for the house's opening. We also had to dovetail with our master decorator, Peg Jones, another awesome Hartland woman, who somehow with a committee and our team and many others brought together the inside of this home, right down to, I remember being at her house picking out wallpaper, of all things. The prep was long, but opening day belonged to the entire town. Everyone was so excited. So many volunteers and workers had come together over the years. This was mainly driven by the vastly forward-thinking visions of Paul Crunden, Paul Assepi, and Joan Stoltz. And for those visions, we cannot repay. Opening day was hectic. It was fun. My son's birthday party was the day before. I was exhausted, but on that day, Mr. Gaylord, your house is open. From 1990 to 95, the dimensional objects, and by that I refer to the three-dimensional objects, were pretty much taken care of. They were cleaned, they were restored. They had found a place in the house, thanks to a lot of scrambling at the last minute. But there were hundreds of paper items, photographs, and letters that had to be sorted through, cataloged, and filed in archival document holders. We bought file folders by the trillions and boxes. So in the early 90s, I did a lot of that. I also wrote a grant because neither the public library nor the Gaylord House had access to a computer. I wrote a grant and I got one for each place. And I think Joanne dumped the first one as soon as she came and got a better one. But in the mid-90s, we actually moved into a little bit of computerization, which was very helpful when you are taking care statistically of as many items as Joanne mentioned. It's just incredibly overwhelming not to get things mixed up. From 96 to 2000, I pretty much worked alone on the collection. Things were in fairly good shape here. I came over on my day off, which was never. And I worked a lot on trying to solve mysteries. We had mystery donations showing up on the doorstep all the time. And I might mention that most of the mysteries came from people attending the annual Blueberry Picnic. Thank you very much. I would go in the following day and there would be all kinds of stuff in the office on the desk. Some of it with labels, some of it with a little bit of history, a lot of it with nothing. So I would spend the following weeks calling people, trying to get histories, trying to talk to anybody, please talk, about anything that had been left here. So there is a lot of CSI work that's involved in the collection, and it's a lot of fun. Okay, I'm on to page 2 already. Isn't that fast? Okay, so thank you to Paul Seppi for crawling down into the basement a couple of weeks ago. I called him. I needed a date from him, and you'll see why in a second. Everything was coasting along here so merrily that you knew that couldn't last totally forever. In March of 1997, the furnace backed up and sent soot through the entire building. Paul checked the date, and the ductwork was checked around mid-March. So that's about when it happened, end of winter. That sent the team, the original team, back to work. Our insurance allowed for the house to be cleaned, thank goodness, but many fabric items could not be cleaned by hand or by a hired cleaning team. And those ended up in 700 bathtubs all across Hartland, soaking in woolite, because that was the only way to treat a delicate or brittle fabric. We had traveled around, we had checked with some dry cleaners. Nobody wanted us. They did not want that burden or that responsibility. It took 6 months to get everything that was fabric or anything that was not able to be cleaned by hand, cleaned, dried, washed, documented, tracked down, because who knows where all this stuff went. I didn't know whose houses it all went to. It went in such a hurry. We got almost everything back in 6 months, with the exception of a couple of things, and we lost a couple of things to disintegration. That was a tough year. But fortunately, even though soot continued to drop, soot dropped on the tops of the curtains, soot dropped down onto windowsills on the tops of the books in the office, we had these special sponges that they left us, and we would just clean up as we went along. As the years went by, things changed a little bit. I was starting to feel the need to help the library, but I was also feeling torn about staying and doing my work here. It was around the year 2000 that I felt the calling to go help the library, and this wonderful person, Joanne Groth, walked into my life. Where is she? I don't know where she is. Over there. Joanne was the answer to my problem. I needed to help the library, but I needed to never leave the grounds until I felt like the collection was in the hands of the right person. And after a very short training session, Joanne took over, and I have never looked back. It was the right answer. Thank you.
Our second speaker today is Marcia Crunden Ransom. Marcia has lived in West Hartland her entire life, and her parents were lifelong Hartland residents as well. Her father, George R. Crunden, was a building contractor in partnership with his brother Paul. Her mother, Pauline Emmerich Crunden Scarrett, was active in the formation of Hartland Historical Society and was treasurer from its inception until 1994. Pauline also authored Hartland Hollow, the Doomtown, which we have here today. In 1948, Marcia attended the one-room school built in 1937 on Route 20, West Hartland, presently the library, until it closed in 1954 and the students went to East Hartland. Marcia and John E. Ransom, who is a nephew of Stanley A. Ransom Sr., were married in 1961 at the West Hartland Congregational Church, where Marcia was organist and choir director from 1958 to 2007. They purchased their home circa 1783, which was once owned by John's grandparents, Carlton and Ida Osborne, where they operated a general store and the post office in the L of the house. At the time when Stanley Ransom wrote the history of Hartland, Marcia spent many hours researching town records with him. She also helped his wife type the rough draft and final copy of the book prior to publication. The event sparked her lifetime of interest in local history and instilled in her the importance of preserving Hartland's heritage for future generations. Marcia and John became members of Hartland Historical in the 70s and became actively involved with the Gaylord House Project and beyond. Marcia has 2 daughters and 5 grandchildren and is living at the home she and John renovated 53 years ago. Marcia, here she comes.
I wasn't sure you were going to read all of that, Joanne.
I had it. You needed to be.
But that's our house. And we live on 240 Center Street, right up the road. And the reason I'm bringing a picture of Grandma Osborne is because I'm wearing her hat and I'm wearing her shoes. And they are 75 years old.
They need the microphone to hear back there.
No. Even though my husband John became involved in the Gaylord House project at the very start, my Gaylord journey didn't begin until 1985, when my cousin Joan and I were asked to go on the fundraising committee for a raffle. Can you guess who asked us to do this? It was indeed very successful, and we raised quite a sum of money to be added to the project fund. My next connection to this project began in February of 1989, merely out of curiosity, when I happened to stop by the Gaylord House to see how things were going. I found Uncle Paul and my cousin's daughter, Lisa, both painting this rustic gold-colored paint onto the woodwork in the display room upstairs. It wasn't long into my visit when I knew I wouldn't be leaving. I love to paint, so why not help? I told Uncle Paul to hand over the paintbrush and go find something else which needed doing. I always joked with him after that I was the only one who ever fired him on the job. From that day on, I was here every spare moment I had. The weekend hours were usually 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. or thereabouts. But Uncle Paul laughed at us as we each arrived in the morning, teasing us that the morning was half gone. He was always the early riser and expected everyone else to be so. I brought my coffee pot each time so we could have freshly brewed coffee and donuts throughout the morning. By noontime, someone would run down to the Riverton store for sandwiches. One day as we were eating lunch on the stairway and in the main parlor area, we decided to sign the date and our names behind the staircase before it was enclosed. We thought perhaps if renovations were ever done many years from then, they would discover our identities. We were enjoying our time working together, creating a special bond as we aimed toward the deadline. It was evident that this Gaylord House project became the common thread which ran throughout the town for many years. After the painting was basically finished, I had to wait several weeks in order to begin wallpapering as the floors needed to be sanded and refinished. I finally began papering the Gaylord room by the end of May, and my mother, Pauline, came to help me paste the sheets while I hung the paper. I completed the wallpapering by mid to late June. So many talented volunteers, and so many jobs to be done. So many countless hours of dedication to this project by so many people. It was truly amazing. And our town had never been more proud. None of this would have been accomplished had it not been for Uncle Paul's vision, his dedication, his knowledge, and most of all, his subtle persuasiveness. Tell me, has there ever been anyone who ever said no to Paul during this project while it was going on? Even to this day, I continue to be in awe each time I walk from room to room in this beautiful historic place. On the day the Gaylord House was dedicated, the sky just opened up, and did it ever pour. I have only seen it rain like that one other time in my life, and that was during the flood of 1955. Even with the torrential rain, it never dampened the wonderful spirit of the day. It doesn't seem possible that 25 years have gone by so quickly. Just look at the world now to see how drastically it has changed since then. I encourage our future generations to continue to keep Hartland's past alive and well at this, our Gaylord House. Thank you.
To say the least, Marcia is close to this museum and has been a strong supporter for over 25 years. Thank you, Marcia, for all that you have brought to the museum, in the Hartland Historical Society, and what you continue to do. Our last speaker before our dedication of our Hartland Remembers book is Heather Mudano.
Hello, my name is Heather Mudano. I am one of Paul Crendon's 13 grandchildren. I am a nurse and have my grandparents to thank for loving what I do. Growing up in Hartland, I always felt important because I was Paul's granddaughter. No matter where I was, there was always someone who knew my grandfather and had a story about him that would bring a chuckle and a smile. Even now at work, if I have a patient from Hartland, all I need to do is mention his name, and a smile comes across their face. Grandpa was very proud of his town. He was born in 1916. He had 3 sisters, and 6 brothers. Attending the Mill Street School, where he became lifelong friends with the Pascarella family. I remember him telling me about the time he put a snake in the teacher's desk. He married Ethel Gordon. Though not quite the politician's wife, she always had a great meal waiting for him at the end of the day. They raised 5 children, 1 daughter, and 4 sons. 4 of the 5 children went on to also raise their families in Hartland. He worked most of his life building houses, stone walls, and fireplaces. If you are lucky enough, you have a Paul Crundon stone wall or fireplace. Grandpa always had a love for history, telling stories on the bus rides to the Hartland Hollow with a twinkle in his eye and a pep in his step. He led many walks, pointing out all the cellar holes. I remember when he brought us up to the Gaylord house to show and to explain to us his plans. When we saw the rundown house, none of us had the same vision. That is where Joan Stoltz and the other members came in. They all shared the same vision. They worked hard raising money, donating their time and skills to make this dream a reality. With tools in hand, he set out to work long days, recruiting all of his family and local residents with their many talents. I also recall many hours that Grandpa spent with his buddy, Paul Aseppi, making plans, finding treasures, and Grandpa telling him all about the history of Hartland. Although there were many workers, there was only one boss. The final day has come, the grand opening. My mom and Aunt Marcia in their Victorian dresses, Joan Stoltz making sure everything was perfect, and Paul Crundon, in his glory, sharing stories in the Paul Crundon room. To this day, when I drive through Hartland, I can still hear him telling me stories or pointing to houses, walls, and fireplaces he built. But the best memory of all is of him in his room at the Gaylord house. Thank you.
Speaker here. We are now, thank you very much for those speakers. It was wonderful to hear your stories. We are going to end our program with a song and the dedication of the Hartland Remembers book. First, a song performed by Jerry Gaylord. He's a relative of the descendant of the Hartland Gaylord family, named after this house, with Janine Anderson on keyboard.
I'd like to share a brief memory of the opening day myself. Paul Crundon was a good friend of mine. We were active together in the Lions Club. And he knew I was an ancestor or a descendant of Nathaniel. So the day it opened up, he was giving me a personal guided tour of the house. And we were being followed by Virginia Lewis. And at some point, Virginia looked at me and said, "Who are you?" And I said, "I'm Jerry Gaylord." And she said, "Well, you're not related, are you?" And I said, "Well, in fact, I am." So then she said, "Well, where do you live?" I said, "I live in East Hartland." She said, "Where in East Hartland?" I said, "Granville Road." "Whose house do you live in?" I said, "Mine." She said, "No, you don't understand." I said, "Oh yeah, I understand." I said, "I bought it brand new. Norman Hoydalen built it for me." That was my remembrance. But Paul and I spent a lot of time together. He was a good friend. And he recruited my son and Bo Hennebrey to rebuild the stone walls at the East Hartland Cemetery when they were in college. And I can remember Eric saying every day Paul would show up in the afternoon and check to see what Bo and he had done, make sure they had done it right. And they came to one section of that wall, if you go over there, you'll see it, that was repaired earlier by someone who really didn't know what they were doing. And they had poured all this crushed stone in between the stones and then watered it. And when the boys reached that stage, they didn't know what to do about it. Paul said, "Leave it." He said, "That way people will know your work from that shoddy work that they did." Yeah. When I was asked to sing, I was kind of torn because I usually don't sing at events like this. I sing in church. I sing at weddings, I sing at funerals, but I sing at church. And I don't have a repertoire of songs that don't have something to do with a Christian message in it. So I talked to my lovely wife, Linda. I said, "I don't know what to do. Sing, honey. I don't know whether I should sing, if I should, what I should sing." And she said, "Well, you know, Nathaniel Gaylord was a minister. So I think it's appropriate that you sing a song that has a Christian message." And she said, not only that, so I looked at it and I looked through the songs and I thought, there's a song that I'm going to sing. It's called "Joy in a Journey." And this has been a journey, especially for those people like Joan and Paul Aseppi who saw this and had a vision. And now 25 years later, they're celebrating that vision. Now this journey is a little different than, I'm sorry, I gotta lift, oh, I don't come up anyhow. Yeah, change that one down. This talks about the journey of life. And I'm grateful for Janine Anderson, who has agreed to come up here and accompany me. Okay, Janine. There is a joy in the journey. There's a light we can love on the way. There is a wonder in wildness to life, freedom for those who obey. And all those who seek it shall find it, a pardon for all who believe, hope for the hopeless, and sight for the blind. All who've been born of the Spirit and who share incarnation with Him belong to eternity, stranded in time and struggling from freedom for sin. Forget not the hope that's before you. Never stop counting the cost. Remember the hopelessness when you were lost. There is a joy in the journey. There's a light you can love on the way. There is a wonder in wildness to life, and freedom for those who obey, and freedom for those who obey.
Beautiful. Thank you, Jerry. Now, for the dedication of our newly published book, Hartland Remembers, editor Judy Devlin, along with assistance from myself and Pat Davis, brought this book to life. This book is a collection of 41 stories about Hartland and authored by Hartland residents. So you see, it still took Hartland residents to write those stories first. Photos from the museum's collection and a few borrowed were added. It was a twinkle in the eye of Joan Stoltz over 15 years ago to have a book for the 25th celebration. In honor of Joan's contributions to Hartland Historical Society, we reveal and dedicate this book to her. I invite Joan Alicata to say a few words and read the dedication.
Good afternoon, everyone. Inspiration. Little did we know, my husband and I, what was in store for us as we labored over our home in Hartland close to 35 years ago. Yes, we knew there would be solace in the gorgeous woods around us, We knew we would face the indescribable winters. As we were looking for land, we happened on the center of Hartland with snow up to people's doorknobs and marveled over who would dare live in such terrain. We knew we'd raise a family in a small town that most off the mountain had never heard of, and we knew if we were lucky, we might possibly get to know some neighbors. But little did we know that we would be so inspired, and little did we know that it would be so soon after moving our firstborn into our unfinished home. There was a knock on the door from a very special resident of Hartland that lured my husband to the call of architect for the Gaylord House. But additionally, that knock and those phone calls and invitations to delicious potluck suppers on a very special knoll of Granville Road was a continuous source of inspiration. Joan recognized everybody's ability to contribute, large and small. She was aware of my passion for the arts and quickly found tasks that fit me. Just imagine this property in mid-December, at dusk, covered in snow and ice, wind blowing, temperatures plummeting, and a band of school children parading from the firehouse across the street, dressed for a live nativity scene. Shepherds, family dogs as their sheep, and my two girls, 10 years apart, one as Mary and one in the baby pack as Jesus. To this day, Mia still brags it was her very first role. Yes, we were all inspired, always. Endless school children, committee and staff members of the school, families. We were all urged to take part in the community. Very often, as I leave Hartland School, I look up at the plaque that dedicates the school vestibule mural in Joan's honor, and I am reminded where so much of my daily inspiration comes from. What a wonderful human being. And so I am so honored and humbled to be asked to read Monica Segelka's dedication that appears in the front of the Hartland Historical Society's new publication. With love and admiration, we dedicate this book to Joan Stoltz, who, with determination and know-how, led the Hartland Historical Society for 18 years, from 1984 until 2000, and then again from 2004 to 2006. At the beginning of her presidency, Joan took on the massive task of spearheading the renovation of the Gaylord House, now Hartland's Town Museum, which had recently been acquired from the Metropolitan District Commission. Going door to door, Joan and her volunteers raised $50,000, 85% or more, which came from within Hartland, toward the future home of the Hartland's artifacts. During Joan's terms as president of the Society, numerous other projects were completed. The publication of several books related to the history of Hartland, bus trips to the Hollow, and the Hartland Town Telephone books are just a few of her very many ventures. Her mission to preserve the history of our town and to serve the community was evident in the many annual events that she managed: the Santa Breakfasts, Town Historical House tours, and membership marches in the town parades, to name a few. Each Hartland Historical Society event represents untold numbers of hours that Joan spent expertly and efficiently planning, organizing, and carrying out details. Leon, her faithful husband, was always by her side, lending his help and support. It is because of Joan's enthusiasm, steadfast town spirit, and just plain willingness to complete the hard work needed that our Hartland treasures have a permanent home at our town museum. Joan, also Hartland School's 6th grade teacher for many years, would be pleased that you are reading this book of Hartland Memories, honoring the 25th anniversary of the opening of the Gaylord House. The Hartland Historical Society is honored to dedicate Hartland Remembers to our own treasure, Joan Stoltz.
Thank you, everyone. Joan, we all love you. Thank you so much. I know Joan would love to be able to say some words, but a little hard to get down the hill.
Can you hear me if I speak this
Yeah, I
way?
can speak. She's going to speak through me.
It's not over until the fat lady talks.
She said it's not over until the fat lady talks.
At any rate, Paul Crundon and I talked many times while this house was being renovated. And one of the things we wanted was that it not sit here like a memorial in a cemetery, but that it be used and frequented. And today is a tribute to that dream. Thank you.
Absolutely. I know if you heard that. I think they actually did. We want to know that Ronnie and Joe moved into town in 1979. Ronnie has been involved in a variety of the society projects due to the fact, as she mentioned, her husband Joe was on the board, including recording oral history and the live Christmas pageants, which she did speak about. She has served as president of the PTO, a Board of Ed member, and a BOS member, and served on the town's long-range planning committee. She has been full-time at Hartland School for 20 years, and she is the town advocate of the arts. Again, thank you on that. Now, it's fantastic out. The sun peeks in and out a little bit, gives us a little breather. So now the last but not least, you're invited to have some blueberry desserts. But more so, if you do purchase one of the Hartland Remembers book, Joan will, I think we'll get her over to sit at the table and chair. If you'd like her to sign the book for you, she would like to do that. We'll give her some time. And the house will be open for you to view it. So I hope you had a great day. I did. Enjoy yourself. We're here till 4 o'clock. Don't feel any need to rush off. Thank you.
Is your wife with you?
No.
Why doesn't she come?
I don't bring her anyplace.
Wait, out flirting. Your shirt, I love it.
That's some fun.
One thing my daddy made sure of, he shoveled coal to make a poor man's dollar. My daddy worked all night in the family coal mine, and all day long in the fields hoeing corn. Mommy rocked the babies at night, read the Bible by a cold oil light, and everything would start all over come break of morn. Daddy loved and raised 8 kids on a coal miner's pay. Mama washed our clothes on a washboard every day. I'd see her fingers bleed, but to complain there was no need. She'd smile in Mommy's understanding way. In the summertime, we didn't need shoes to wear, but in the wintertime, we'd all get a brand new pair. From a mail order catalog, money made from selling a hog, Daddy always managed to get the money somewhere. Well, I'm proud to be a coal miner's daughter. I remember well the well where I drew water. The work we done was hard at night, and we'd sleep 'cause we were tired. Never thought I'd ever leave Butcher Hollow. Well, a lot of things have changed since way back then. And oh, it's so good to be back home again. Nothing but the floor, nothing lives there anymore. Just a memory of a coal miner's daughter.
Yeah, that's your husband's bottle.
All of these long days, I've been working on the railroad just to pass the time away. Can't you hear the whistle blowing? Rise up so early in the morning. Can't you hear the captain shouting? Dinah, blow your horn. Dinah, won't you blow? Dinah, won't you blow? Dinah, won't you blow your horn? Dinah, won't you blow? Dinah, won't you blow? Dinah, won't you blow your horn? Someone's in the kitchen with Dinah. Someone's in the kitchen, I know. Someone's in the kitchen with Dinah, strumming on the old banjo and singing fee-fi, fiddly-I-O, fee-fi, fiddly-I-O, fee-fi, fiddly-I-O, strumming on the old banjo.
Yeah. Second Sunday of every month, 6 o'clock.
Really?
I can go second Sunday of every month. Yes.
To see if I could yodel with a yodel-o-tee. I climbed upon a mountain top one clear and sunny day. There I met a little boy, the little Swiss-chalet. He taught me how to yodel, yodel-o-dee-dee, yodel-o-dee-dee, yodel-o-dee. He taught me how to yodel, yodel-o-dee-dee, yodel-o-dee, yodel-o-dee. It's easy how to yodel, yodel-o-dee-dee, yodel-o-dee-dee, yodel-o-dee. It's easy how to yodel, yodel-a-dee-dee, yodel-o-dee, yodel-o-dee. I'll teach you all to yodel so you'll yodel just like me. It's easy while you're singing to go ho-lo-lo-tee. Now take a deep breath and exhale. 1, 2, 3. This is how to yodel. Listen close to me. This is how to yodel. Yodel-o-dee-dee, yodel-o-dee-dee, yodel-o-dee. This is how to yodel. Yodel-o-dee-dee, yodel-o-dee, yodel-o-dee. Hi-dee, yodel-o-dee, 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 yodel-o-dee. Hi-dee, yodel-o-dee, 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 yodel-o-dee. Lodi,